Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be doing a Giana Darling author guide. So Giana Darling is one of my favorite authors of all time. If you've watched my channel for a while, you know I love her so much. And I've read all of her books, so I really want to give a deep dive into Giana Darling because I've read all of her books and I love her so much, so let's get right into it. So the first two books are a duet, and that's When Heroes Fall and When Villains Rise. So When Heroes Fall is the first book in this series, and this duet follows Elena and Dante is being convicted of murder, and he is one of the most famous capos in New York. And Elena is on his legal team. She absolutely detests the mafia, and she grew up with the mafia, so she just has always hated the mafia ever since she was young because the mafia really ruined her family in a lot of ways. And so she is not happy to be working with Dante, but her sister is friends with Dante, and her sister asked her to, so she's like, okay, I'll do it for you. And in this book, it is slow burn. Elena ends up having to stay with Dante in his apartment because he is like apartment bound, like he's wearing like an ankle bracelet and all that stuff. So they start like they slowly falling in love, and it's adorable. Not adorable. It's amazing. This is not like a cutesy book. This is a dark mafia romance. And Elena is a very prickly character. She's been through a lot, not only from her childhood, but her relationships. She was in an abusive relationship, and then her last relationship, her fiance left her for her sister, and we'll get into that in the other books. But she has just been this prickly character and has held so much in her entire life that she's never had a moment to be like, wow, I, had a really hard childhood, and I really went through some things, but now that she's older, she's kind of working through those things. She's like with a therapist, and she has never been able to orgasm, or she had this like medical thing, and so she had this surgery and it like fixed it, and now she's like finally able to orgasm, and it's kind of like a brand new Elena for her, and she's experiencing all of these things with Dante, and Dante is so patient and just wanting to be there for Elena and so protective over her, and I just love it. This book is definitely the beginning of their relationship and like kind of showing the build up, and there's a lot of action in this book. This one kind of leaves off on a little bit of a cliffhanger. It's amazing. And then this book, the second book in the duet, it feels a little bit more like a James Bond movie, kind of. Just there's a ton of action in it. Some crazy stuff happens. It's just so good. Just continuing on with their love story. So the next two books is another duet, and that's the Dangerous Temptation duet. I don't know what the official name is, but this one is a guardian ward romance. Also Hate to Love. So our heroine Bianca, she has just lost her mother, and her mother was dating the hero, and the hero kind of like didn't know the mom was gonna die, but didn't have real feelings for her. He was doing it for a business scheme, and so now he is the sole guardian of Bianca and her younger brother, and so he moves them out to New York with him, and she like detests him and he detests her, but she's 18 and she just absolutely hates him, but they slowly start like having this really fiery chemistry for each other and like can't get enough of each other, and it's incredible. I think this book is so good. It does leave off on a cliffhanger. This whole series is she did this series with the Kay Webster, and it's like this whole universe, like the Morellis and all this stuff, and there's these powerful families, and Bianca was kind of in the middle of it because of who her father was. There's like lots of secrets and twists and turns, and it was just so good. If you want an age gap, guardian word, romance, taboo, this is definitely for you. And then Beautiful Nightmare is the second book in the duet, and this just goes along with her story, kind of concluding it. It's so good. I really love this duet. I love taboo romances, so this is one of my favorites. Okay, so this next book is called The Affair, and this was Giana's first book that she ever published, and this follows, I can't remember his name, Sinclair, and Giselle, and Giselle decides to go to Mexico for like a fun getaway trip, and she meets this fancy, handsome man on the plane, and they have like a fling together during this trip, and she like really finds out that she loves him, but then he has to leave, and she thinks she's never going to see him again, and then she sees him again, and some things happen. It's very mysterious. Don't want to give too much away because it's a big spoiler, but I really enjoyed this book. I think it's a great first book for Giana. It shows her spiciness, it shows her taboo-ness, and I really like this. And her whole idea around this book was like, would I sacrifice the happiness of two people versus one, which would be like herself, if like her best friend and her significant other were cheating on her, kind of thing. It's like an interesting concept, but this is actually a trilogy. I don't have the other books in copy, but I really enjoyed this, and I would definitely give it a shot if you want to read Giana. I would preferably start with something else first, because this is like, I really like this one from her, but it's not one of my favorites by her. I would start probably with When Heroes Fall, or something in the Fallen Men series, which we're going to get to in a second. Okay, so before we get to the Fallen Men series, I have the Enslaved Duet, and this is one of her probably darkest, I feel like duets or book series, and this follows Cosima, and she is sold into sexual slavery to our hero, who is like this British duke in England. And it's very dark, and there's lots of twists and turns in this. I don't want to give too much away because it's kind of fun to like figure it out on your own, but just know this is a very dark romance, and she's sold into sexual slavery, but then some things happen and it gets pretty crazy. So if any of that interests you, I would highly recommend this. And then the next book is Enamored, and that's the second in this duet. This one is pretty big, and it just continues on with their story, and I really enjoyed this duet. It's not my like favorite, but I really did enjoy it. Okay, and now we're going to get into my favorite series by Giana Darling, and that's the Fallen Men series. This is what got me into Giana Darling, like my favorites from her. I have these special editions with the girls on the covers, so let me get to those. Okay, so the first book is Lessons in Corruption by Giana Darling, of course. I don't know why I said her name, even though this is a guide for her. Anyways, so this, I think you should definitely read this series in order because it'll make a lot of sense for the couples and the characters and all that stuff. So the first book is a student-teacher age gap taboo romance. It's probably one of my favorites in this series. I really do enjoy this one. It's a reverse age gap where our heroine is older and our hero is younger. So our heroine, Cressida, she has been in this really like prison of a marriage for so long, and she was kind of groomed to be in this marriage because of her parents. She married her next door neighbor, and like her parents were like, we really want you to marry this guy, and so she's like, okay. And then one day when she's like grocery shopping, she sees the most beautiful man ever. He looks like a king. He has golden locks. He is just gorgeous. And that's what kind of kickstarts her divorce. And she's like, you're not giving me what I want. And what I want is to live my life. I'm still young, and I don't want to be chained to you forever. And so she divorces him, and then it fast forwards to like the present, where she is a teacher, and she meets this motorcycle guy, the guy that she saw at the grocery store one night at this bar, and they hang out for the night and have an amazing night together, just like hanging out together. And then the next day, he's in her classroom. She meets him, and so she's very against them being together, and he's like, well, I really want you, you want me, it doesn't matter. And they start up a relationship, and it's really, really good. Very taboo. She has lots of fantasies of what she's always wanted, and he gives them to her. And I just love this book. It feels, this is a perfect read for fall. I just felt this was like the epitome of fall for me. The heroine loves to cozy up and read, and she loves to bake apple pies, and just, it felt so like fall to me that I just was like, this is like such an autumn book. I absolutely adore this one. Highly, highly recommend. This is the first in the series, and it's so good. I would definitely read this series in order, by the way. Okay, so the next book is Welcome to the Dark Side. This is probably one of the most popular books in this series. This is about Lou and Zeus, and Zeus is the president of the motorcycle club. And one day when Lou is like 5 years old, she is at her church, and this like mass shooting breaks out, and Zeus is there and with his like motorcycle people, like the people in the motorcycle club, and they're trying to like protect these people and like shoot the bad guy, and like Lou's about to be shot, and like Zeus saves her basically. And Zeus goes to jail for this like happening, this like mass shooting kind of thing. And so until she turns like 17, Lou has been writing him ever since like the incident. And he's like, you have to stop writing me. I don't want you to get the wrong idea, like you're pining after me. So she doesn't see him for months. And then she finds out she has cancer again, and Lou decides to start living her life the way she wants to. Her parents are very strict. Her father's the mayor. And she's like, I'm going to do what I want. So she decides to start working at a strip club as a bar, like a waitress. And she finds out that Zeus buys the strip club, and she starts seeing him again. And she's like, I want to prove to you that I want you. And so she does all of these things, and he like finally agrees to like let her in on the motorcycle club and help her like live the life she wants to. And then he's like, she keeps wanting to be with him, and he's like, no. And then he finally like breaks, and he's like, okay, I'll be with you. And so they have this amazing relationship. It's age gap, taboo. There's lots of twists and turns in this book, very action packed. I just love this book so much. It is so good. Definitely go check it out. This next book is another one of my faves, and it's Good Gone Bad. This is about Zeus's daughter, HR. She is a bad girl, and Lionel Danner, and he is a cop, and she's always kind of had feelings for him, but has never wanted to admit it. And so when she ends up like killing her ex-boyfriend, which sounds crazy, but he was very abusive, and you'll learn it in the book. She decides to go undercover at her ex-boyfriend's like motorcycle club to get intel on if they're trying to like hurt like her motorcycle club, like her dad's motorcycle club. So she goes undercover, and then she finds out that Danner is undercover too, as like pretending to be like somebody in this motorcycle club. And their feelings stir up again, and they have they know they have these feelings for her, and he has feelings for her, and he just wants to protect her, and it's just so amazing. There's some BDSM in here. Lion is into some dirty stuff, but I really love this book. It's so fun, and there's lots of turns in this one. This whole series has lots of twists and turns and action-packed moments that I just absolutely love, and I love HR. She really just wants to protect her family, and I just love that so much about her. Okay, After the Fall is the ongoing story of Cress and King, which is from the first book. I don't want to give too much away because it's a companion or sequel to their story, but just know it's very emotional. This next book is Inked in Lies. This is probably my favorite in the series. This follows Nova and Lila. It's friends to lovers. Nova has always Lila's always longed after Nova, and he's always been like, no, we can't be together. And so she's finally like, okay, fine. So she starts dating this guy, and he becomes her fiance. But then she decides to go undercover for this pornographic company, and she is trying to shut them down and get inside on them. And then Nova finds out she's doing that, and he is like, no. Very protective, trying to save her, and it's just so good. They have so much past together, so much trauma together, but it's amazing. He's a tattoo artist, and he tattoos all of these flowers on her, and she just loves flowers so much. And the story is absolutely beautiful. It's so amazing. I tabbed it because I loved it so much. Definitely go check it out. And then the last book in this series is Dead Man Walking. This is kind of a psycho romance. So our heroine Bia, she is very just like prim and proper, but also she secretly thinks about like death a lot and true crime. She has a true crime podcast, and so something happens where these women in the small town are being like hurt and murdered, and they think that somebody's going after her. So the hero, he is like, okay, I'll watch after you, and they start like falling for each other, and he is like has had some really bad stuff happen to him, and he just only finds solace in Bia, and it's just so good. This one is the longest in the series, but it's so fantastic. Lots of action with them trying to find the killer, and it's really fun. I really like this one. Alright, so that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Just want to thank you so much for watching this video. Luna's here too. And I hope you are having a great day wherever you are, and I will see you guys soon.